Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of the OTC markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for our 3-day Metals and Mining Conference. Our next presentation is from White Gold. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for a one-on-one meeting by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome David Donofrio, Chief Executive Officer and Director of White Gold, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol WHGOF and on the TSXv under the symbol WGO. Welcome back, David.
It is great to be here. What an amazing time in the commodity markets. It's a sector that we've been involved with for many years, actually many decades now, and it's really a very unique time and exciting times. So really pleased to be here today to present White Gold Corp. I am the CEO, as was mentioned. I'm also a principal with the merchant bank that co-founded this project with the notorious prospector Shawn Ryan, called Power One Capital Markets. We're based in Toronto. We've been doing investing in resource exploration and development for over 20 years now, and we've really been fortunate to have been involved with some of the incredible new discovery stories that have gone on to be mines all around the world. And this is another example, I think, of one of our portfolio companies that is very unique, very exciting, and it certainly seems to be at the right place at the right time. And when I, excuse me, as I present, and I look at these companies, I may have a bit of a different perspective on how it's presented, because we come from the corporate finance world, and for us, we're investors first, and we're looking for opportunities, that can really sort of have big outsized returns for ourselves and our other stakeholders involved. Over the years, we've been fortunate to be involved with many significant success stories in the commodities sector. Early in resources was one. That's Fruta del Norte deposit in Ecuador. This is now Lundin Mining, one of the best producing gold mines in the world. In the gold side, Continental Gold, we're a partner with Ari Sussman on that. That was tremendous success in Colombia with the Vertigo deposit. And now Ari is our partner, or we are his partner actually, again, in another fabulous discovery down in Colombia called Collective Mining. It is, in my view, potentially one of the most significant new discoveries in the Americas in the last decade. We've been involved with other sectors. Lithium Americas was a company we co-founded, Neolithium, et cetera. Anyways, I bring this up because over the years, we've really sort of developed a unique and proprietary approach as we look for these sorts of opportunities. And when we were presented with the White Gold story in 2016, so this is a project we've been very involved with for many years. We've incubated it. We put a lot of work and capital into it. And it's, I think, finally now come to light as a very unique project in an incredible area. It really checked all the boxes of what we looked for in an opportunity. So the first and foremost thing that we look at is jurisdiction. This project is in the Yukon in Canada. It's actually located in the Klondike. This was the epicenter of the historic gold rush, which started over 100 years ago, and it is still ongoing to today. Many people are not aware that this area of the Yukon is a beehive of placer mining activity. Over 20 million ounces of placer gold have been mined out of the creeks to date. However, almost no modern day exploration occurred until our partner, Shawn Ryan, the notorious prospector, went there. So it's in a great area. It has a very prolific history, and it's very underexplored, which really kind of demonstrates to us the potential upside. And that's what got us really attracted. And the other aspect of this opportunity that was so exciting is that Shawn was able to deliver significant amounts of discovery success in a very short period of time, making 2 very large multi-million ounce discoveries. One of them is called the Coffee Project, which Gold Corp bought for $550 million. That is now being advanced to production by a company called Fuerte Metals, which recently partnered with Newmont, Agnico, Pierre Lassonde to put it into production. The other major discovery is in White Gold. Our flagship deposit is now 3 million ounces. It's one of the highest grade open pit deposits in all of Canada, the highest in the Yukon. But in addition to that, what makes this company really so unique and special is that we are owners of basically the entire district. So this is now not an investment opportunity in one single mine. Our land package is 300,000 hectares. That's 3,000 square kilometers, or probably about 2,000 square miles. And this is not a land package that was assembled or just sort of grabbed in a land grab type capacity. Shawn Ryan, who went there and was able to crack the code and led to the discoveries, which I'll talk about in a moment, he used that same protocol on basically the entire district and cherry-picked the best of the best opportunities. So we really have a district scale portfolio within White Gold, and the opportunity that presented to us that made us so excited was this is similar to maybe being able to go back in time 100 years and be able to acquire something of this significance in somewhere like the Nevada Goldfields or the Abitibi in Quebec or Val-d'Or or Timmins, Ontario. And to have an opportunity like that all within one company, I don't know that I've ever seen that before. And this is what got us so excited. And this is also the reason why we were able to attract Agnico Eagle as our largest shareholder, who own just under 20% of the company. As people are probably likely aware, Agnico is one of the largest and best gold mining companies in the world, and they are incredibly proficient at mining in northern Canada. And that's why we selected them as our partner from a variety of other opportunities we had. And it's been an incredible relationship since. And I'm very pleased to tell you of the success we've had to date, and even more so what we have planned in the future. So I will kind of move on here and give you a little bit of perspective. So the investment highlight, this is what I just touched on. Again, what this company offers is we have a defined resource. Like, that is very significant. I just read a report by Accenture on the weekend, actually, that said the odds of taking an exploration project from discovery through to production or through a significant resource is about 1 in 1,000. So we've already beat the odds. And that's the hardest thing to do in this business. We have that. We have 3 million ounces. It's incredibly high grade. That's actually the other aspect that makes this so unique. Is it's the highest grade on average of any project in the Yukon. But as you sort of look to our main zone, it's at a whole nother tier of high grade, something that's very exceptional. I've really seen very infrequently in open pit type resources. And we believe that type of high grade core is going to continue to grow. And we think this will make for a very robust and economic project, which is why we're now moving it through the economic assessment. So that's something very special. I'll get to that. I touched on the district, the management team. I did touch on that. Something that's new, Shawn Ryan, he had this protocol, but we've also been very fortunate to add to our team Dylan Langell as our VP of Exploration. He was part of the discovery team at a company called Great Bear Resources that had a project in Ontario. It has made one of the most significant discoveries in Canada in the last several years. It was eventually acquired by Kinross for $1.8 billion. Dylan was on there from day one, right through to acquisition, spent 2 years at Kinross. And the fact that he came to White Gold was I think a very telling sign to us in terms of what he saw as the opportunity. And in the short time he's been here, he's actually opened our eyes to more opportunity than we even knew existed. So the story in my mind has gone from exciting to exceptionally exciting, and I'm really pleased to talk more about that. And I touched on our partners. So just to give you some context of where we are, this is west central Yukon. In the north is Dawson City. You may watch the show Gold Rush. You get a little bit of footage from there. That is the city that was built around the gold rush, which started in the late 1800s. All the brown and gold properties are White Gold tenements. And these are what was specifically cherry-picked by Shawn Ryan over the course of 15 years. And so, the question that many people likely have is, why is this area with such a rich placer gold mining history, why did it not see more exploration? If you look at other places in the world, those are the first areas that get explored. You have the placer miners, the artisanal miners been working, and then the majors and the more sophisticated exploration groups will come in behind it. That was the first question that we asked as well. And the reason is actually very interesting. And what happened? So Shawn Ryan, he grew up in the Timmins camp in a mining family, and this opportunity just sat in the back of his brain for a long, long time. And eventually, in the early 2000s, he went there to pursue his dream and discover the source of this placer gold or other hard rock opportunities. When he got there, though, he quickly learned why no one has gone before. Like, just for context, that people maybe aren't familiar exactly where the Yukon is. It's Western Canada, it's Northwest Canada. If you're in Vancouver, which basically borders on Seattle, you can be up there in about 3 hours on a flight. So it's really accessible to get to Whitehorse, the capital city. From there, you can drive up to Dawson or take another short flight to Dawson. It's not hard to get to at all. But the issue was this area of Canada was actually not glaciated at the last ice age, which means all the topsoil from prehistoric times is sitting in place. Most areas, most exploration that's done in Canada is in areas that has been glaciated. So with all the topsoil having been pushed away, you have visible exposure to the outcrop, which is the bedrock. And then the prospectors will typically sample that. They'll bring that to the lab, and then if they have positive indications, they will look to either raise more money or partner with a mining company to do the exploration. In the absence of that, Shawn needed to come up with a different prospecting tool. He's a researcher. It's just amazing the amount of information he can consume and digest. I always joke with him that he was the original AI machine, but he was able to develop a prospecting methodology utilizing soil geochemistry. And in that, it's not necessarily you're looking for gold in the soil, you're looking for these different pathfinder elements. From there, he honed onto what could lead to gold mineralization or a gold mineralized system. And then from there, upon further testing, he was almost immediately successful making those two big discoveries that I mentioned. Since that time, he's gone on to make other discoveries within our white gold. And this is why we believe that there's so much prospectivity. So in addition to the fact that we have these resources, we've now uncovered in the last several years many other new zones of mineralizations close to the original discovery. The probabilities are that's the best place to look for gold. But then we've also uncovered like many, many more similar targets to what led to our original discovery. And that is where I think this blue sky prospectivity comes on our property, which is highlighted in gold there, that hosts our flagship resources, but also on these other properties. And really the way I looked at it, Shawn has figured out the formula that's going to lead to the highest probability of success. And where this company is today is we've now done all the background work, and we have all these targets that are ready to be drilled for the first time. And this is the most exciting time, I think, where most investors in this industry like to be involved, is at the discovery stage. So in the last several years, what we've been doing is we've ran a two-track program. One is we've continued to grow our resource base, and I mentioned now it's over 3 million ounces. We just put out a resource update recently. And on the other side, we've continued to work up new targets to get ready for drill testing. However, in that time, we have been able to drill some of these targets, and we were able to be quite successful making brand new discoveries, which I'll touch on in a little bit. So this is kind of how we, you see here, how we arrange our projects. We have our advanced stage projects, which have defined gold resources. We have our discovery stage projects where we've actually made discoveries, and the earlier stage is getting these projects to the drill ready point. One other thing which I want to mention at this point in time, which I think is very exciting as well, is for those people that have studied the Yukon and are aware of this part of North America, it is the same Tintina belt that goes from Alaska into the Yukon, into British Columbia, the same rocks. Alaska and British Columbia has seen just an incredible amount of discovery. The Yukon, less so. But what we've learned in the last few years, that's really been a direct result, almost a one-for-one correlation on the amount of money invested in exploration. In the last few years, as there's been more money invested in the Yukon, we've seen that discovery rate go up. So it is such a highly prospective area for gold. And what we've also learned in our area and other areas of the Yukon, it's also very prospective for other critical metals such as copper, molybdenum, tungsten, and bismuth. And within our portfolio, we've actually made a few new discoveries of very large copper and other critical mineral targets on our property. And it really should come as no surprise. Just to the bottom of our portfolio there in the light purple, you see a company called Western Copper and Gold. They have a casino deposit. That's one of the largest undeveloped copper gold porphyries in Canada for sure, maybe in North America, where they have 20 million ounces of gold and 14 billion pounds of copper. These porphyries happen in clusters. So we've identified new targets around there. It's really exciting. I think those projects on their own, could be their separate public companies, and we always kind of had that in the back of our mind. And then at the beginning of this year, we've concluded as a company that, to properly unlock this value, what we're going to be doing is assembling our 5 properties that have shown this critical mineral prospectivity and isolating them in a new company, which will be distributing the shares out to our shareholders sometimes in the coming months. And then that way, shareholders of White Gold Corp will receive shares in this new company, which will be strictly focused on our critical mineral prospectivity. So I think that's a nice little bonus that shareholders can look forward to. But really, we believe that these projects are incredibly prospective. And as I'm sure everyone is aware here, critical minerals have become politicized, even weaponized in this market. And there's a tremendous amount of interest and desire for us to advance those as well. And then, other names you might have seen in the Yukon, Snowline Gold, Sitka, Banyan, they've been, continue to make more and more discoveries, which have really put the Yukon back in the map. I think it's, like I mentioned, it's been a little bit sleepy. There hasn't been a ton of investment in the last little while. With the extreme amount of success they've had, a lot more attention has come back. And I think the world is finally waking up to this. Could represent one of the last great frontiers for gold and critical mineral exploration in Canada. And clearly we're in a market that is receptive to that. And that's why we're seeing so much attention. So it's been a great environment. We've been there, we've persevered, we built a lot of value over the years. And now we're starting to benefit from that increased interest. And what's been interesting for us as White Gold, maybe as a company, we've been a little bit too quiet as we've been going out to the conference and talking to the institutions, meeting with research analysts. Many people have not been aware of exactly the amount of value that we have this large asset, this the highest grade, that our portfolio offers so much prospectivity. And that's probably part of the reason why we still trade at a pretty significant discount to our peer group. And hopefully getting out and doing events like this will bring the exposure to help us catch up. And I think the other big catalyst that's happened is this coffee deposit just to the south of us, having been the partnership that's been developed with Newmont, Agnico, Pierre Lassonde to put into development. That's, again, going to bring a lot of interest and attention to our neck of the woods. And then, but most importantly, as part of that development, there is a new road that comes in going from the coffee project to the south right up to Dawson. And what that road does, that really unlocks the leverage of why we got involved with this company in the first place, is the access to the rest of the property. So now we, the opportunity for this to be an actual camp and us develop a camp becomes real. Because without that type of infrastructure in place, you need to be finding 2 million, 3 million ounces to be able to build a self-sustaining facility. But in most mining camps, you'll have 1 or 2 or 3 major facilities, and then anything you'll find in that district, you can truck it to one of the mills. So ours, our property would necessitate a crush and grind mill. The coffee, they're planning a heap leach. So really anything we would find now going forward, we'd be able to take advantage and realize the economic benefits of that. So it's all kind of happening, and it really feels like, we're sort of today at the right place at the right time. And the fact that the gold price is doing what it is just the, I think, icing on the cake. Like, we planning for this never expected gold to be here today. I think, sub 2,000 gold is probably all works, and that's the way we plan for it. So anything above that is really a bonus. Here I touched on this very, very strong shareholder group. Management Insiders is our Power One group, and Shawn Ryan, Agnico, and the rest of these investors are people we've known and worked with over the years in the mining business, and they've really have been very helpful in many capacities. So I'll touch now quickly on I talked about the resource. Here is where we're going today. We put out this update. We're at 3 million ounces. That is a very significant size deposit. And what is so special about it, again, is the grade. You see from the top to the bottom where we've made our increases. But what is so particularly exciting for us is, where do we go from here? Dylan, when he came in, so like I said, we've been looking for these new zones of mineralization. You sort of can see it here on this slide, all these different targets. On the north side, this VG deposit, which we also own, there's another cluster just like that. But where we've been working this year and drilling in this program, with our results to be announced in the coming sort of weeks and months right through the end of the year, is primarily on our main zone here. And what Dylan identified is this high grade core that's what I mentioned is like really truly unique in these types of deposits. It's completely open in all directions. So what he thinks we can do is to get the most value in the shortest amount of time is continue to grow that high grade core. The one area he is sort of most excited about is this down dip extension. It's been drilled, it's been hit, it's left open. And so he in these types of orogenic systems, they typically continue to increase at depth, and the plumbing is coming from deeper in the earth up until the surface. So he thinks this is an area of great prospectivity. We will be launching a very robust drill program on this. Somewhere we're just working on it now, but probably in the 20,000 meter area to continue to grow the resources on sort of our next phase. But what we're drilling right now, Dylan identified this high grade footwall. It's a subvertical plane. There has been 2 intercepts that's gone through it, which intersected very high grade gold. There were 300 meters apart, and what Dylan believes is that there's a high probability that will connect. So we're testing that currently this year, and for us, that is the perfect place to be exploring. It's right within our pit. So if we are successful in connecting this high grade mineralization, that will be an immediate increase of more high grade ore into our resources. And then the other, Dylan was really creative in how he did this. He's bringing these holes, and actually he has 3 targets per hole. So we're going to be coming through the main zone with oriented core for the first time, which will allow him to host the structures. Dylan does believe, because of the nature of these orogenic systems, this could potentially all connect at depth. That's something we haven't got to yet, but that would be like just the next level of upside that we'll be working on. But as he's coming through this into the high grade zone with the oriented core, he's identified that on the top of that, there's been several mineralized intersections that have hit in the past that really don't have the continuity you'd expect. So you sort of see it here at the top of the zone. And what he wants to do is put more holes into that to help tie it all together as well. But in the back of his mind, he just didn't understand with the amount of drilling that was done in the high grade zone, which actually is not that much compared to some of these other projects in the area, like the Coffee project, which has seen 600,000 meters of drilling. We've seen less than 60. In researching, more about this high grade zone and trying to understand why, it developed the way it did, he realized that historically the previous operator did not assay the top parts of the holes. So this is a section looking down on it. So all the blue there is unassayed core. There's over 7,000 meters of unassayed core. That's more than 10% of all the drilling done to date. So between the holes we're drilling to test that zone and assaying this core, which we have in our storage areas, that's going to be a very interesting amount of news flow. One, because I think it'll add more, and we're pretty optimistic that there will be gold. It'll add more gold to the resources, but the double whammy here is that's now going to take gold that was otherwise would be waste in our economic modeling and turn it into ore. So it allows for production from more. It improves the strip ratio. It's a huge win for us to be able to bring that into our resource. And as I mentioned, we're working on a PEA now that we're hoping for that to be ready in the first half of the year. We've done a scoping study in the past. We were extremely encouraged by what we saw, which is using gold prices under 2,000. And we think with the increased resource we just updated, the results of our exploration program this year, we're really optimistic on how that could come out. In addition to sort of moving down dip and extending these zones, we are going to be testing a number of these other targets. We've had success on a few of them already and put together small resources. They remain open in all directions. Dylan keeps calling me and say, "How come you guys didn't drill more in here?" So, well, listen, we didn't have the budget at the time, but now we certainly do, fortunately, and we will continue to test those and be making new discoveries. So that's something I think we can be pretty excited to look forward to into the future. I know we're running short on time here. Unfortunately, when you have a project this big, it's hard to get through in 30 minutes, but I'll do my best. So that's the meat and potatoes. I do want to touch on some of this stuff as well. This Crease Creek anomaly, it's one of the largest, most intense gold anomalies we've ever discovered. It's just north of our VG target. It will be part of our White Gold project. It is several miles long, it's intense, and it looks almost exactly like our Golden Saddle zone, which is our big high grade zone. So we are extremely excited to drill test that as well, along with other targets that have been identified nearby. These are big mineralized trends we've identified. And this one here is a really exciting property. So this is actually contiguous to the Coffee project, which I just mentioned is being developed by Newmont, Agnico, and Pierre Lassonde. And we, in the last several years, have made a real bona fide high-grade discovery, highlighted by holes such as like 25 meters of 5 grams, 50 meters of 3 grams, another hole 50 meters of 3.5 grams, all from surface, all in an oxide. The Coffee just to the west of us is an oxide, and this sits on the same fault system. So this is a very interesting target. The fact that it's right beside this project, I think, makes it even more valuable. And we're really excited to continue to drill that. That's this Betty Ford property. Actually, that's one of several targets on it. We've done limited testing on some of these other targets. They've been very prospective for gold and other base metals, and many of them are untested as well. So it's this real treasure chest of opportunity that we'll be continuing to go through. And now, with the amount of interest in financing being able to track, this is the first time in this company's history we're really going to be able to accelerate our exploration work, and it's such an exciting time for the company. And this is just, to round it out, what I mentioned earlier on the critical mineral side. This is a belt here. You see in the Yukon, there is many mines and deposits that have been discovered, primary copper and other critical minerals. You can see here tungsten, antimony, bismuth. So there is a lot of opportunity there. Hasn't seen as much work on our behalf, but we're definitely accelerating that as well with this new spin-out structure. So I think there's a lot of good news. We can look forward to that. And all this information is on our website and our presentation. Reach out to us anytime, info@whitegoldcorp.ca. Happy to arrange calls, follow-ups. We love to speak to interested parties. And there's just, as you dig deeper, you'll just, I think, realize, like we do, there's such a great amount of opportunity ahead of us. And going forward, before I get to some of the questions here, so what we can look forward to is results from our exploration program, which we're drilling on our flagship deposit, as well as geophysical work on our critical mineral targets to get those drill ready for next year. That should be a lot of information over the next sort of 4 months through the end of the year and probably into the next year. More details on the spin out of the critical minerals property. And then I think the really sort of big moment will be our PEA, which I think will really identify this project as being incredibly unique within Canada and North America. And hopefully within that time, we'll also start to have more institutional research published on us that will really highlight from independent sources how this company and why it's so unique and perspective here. So I have 2 minutes left. Let me just go through these questions. Exploration, I talked about that. So those results are forthcoming over the next few months. And, I think hopefully, quite soon, we'll start to see some of that. What are the key permanent environmental First Nations engagement? We're very fortunate. It's a great question. In this part of the Yukon, the primary First Nation is the Trondak-Witchin. We sort of fully respect and acknowledge that this is their traditional territory and work very closely with them. They've been part of this placer mining environment for many years, and they're quite pro mining. Obviously, that Coffee deposit, which we're contiguous to, that is fully permitted. So it does demonstrate that this is an area where work can get done and mines can get permitted. I think I touched on this. And then, what are your re-rating catalysts? In addition to the news flow, I think, as I mentioned, we're still trading at a pretty significant discount to our peer group. So hopefully as we get the word out there, as we get research coverage, we'll continue to re-rate. And then and then sort of on the backs of that, we'll have hopefully very exciting news flow over the months to come. And then into sort of next year, we will be deploying the largest exploration program that this company has seen under the guidance of Dylan Langell, who took that Great Bear project from basically nothing to over 7 million ounces and acquired by a major. So, the fact that, we have a guy like that on our team, I can't express enough how valuable that is for us. In a short amount of time, he's discovered so much opportunity, and he hasn't even had time to look at some of our other projects. So I just can't wait to turn him loose on that over the next couple of months. Thank you everyone for joining us. You can probably tell I'm pretty excited here. It's been a lot of work and a lot of effort, but we really have, I think, the right project at the right time with the right backers, and look forward to what's to come here. And thank you for your interest, and hopefully come join us for the exciting journey ahead. Thank you.